The book now has taken me to a whole different level to support others in what they're going through. Every challenge I faced was not the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new chapter filled with strength, faith, and resilience. That comes from my book.
Thank you for joining us, Lady J. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Conyers, Georgia.
Oh, I've actually been there. I've had to do some work there. They get hailstorms every now and then, so I had to do some adjusting to write some estimates down there. Great people, great
And
people.
we got some snow. We got more snow than Chicago did. And that's when I was born and raised. I couldn't believe it.
Chicago now, that's a cold city. I'm in Florida, so it's Chicago's cold even in the summer by my standards. But yeah, we had a young lady on who's a consultant and a coach. She coaches coaches, and she was from Chicago. She still lives there. I love interviewing authors, and you've got an interesting book. I want to start off actually reading this from your website, and then you can help explain it to us because I think this is pretty interesting. It says, whether grappling with deception, unexpected transformation, or the silent struggles of the mind, this book provides the courage to face the unknown, embrace change, and find a way forward, even when the path is uncertain. That I,
Absolutely.
he had me hooked, Lady J. He had me. I said, I got to get a copy. Go ahead.
Unexpected strangers, events, things that you trusted, and all of a sudden you found out you couldn't trust it. It was unexpected because of how you felt, how you wanted to be. So now we're going to go through the feelings, what we went through. You're struggling by yourself because what the silent generation didn't speak. So you think you're going to go around and don't speak. No, not this generation. If we have to go get a therapist, I believe in having that support of a therapist because you have to get it out in order to be whole. That's why the increase of mental illness is on the rise. It is because we're a different generation. We can't handle what the silent generation did before. Remember, if it was Uncle Bob or Uncle James, they was put in the room someplace, or you was in a nursing home, right? They kept that stuff shut down. But for us, the unexpected stranger, it's time to deal with it.
I like that. And I'm a big proponent of therapy. I was in the Army for 8 years. I had friends that served in war, and I encouraged them. I said, I'm not a doctor, but it sounds like you've got PTSD. The VA has some resources you can utilize. And marriage counseling, that's another thing too. Divorces are very expensive. It's worth it to at least give a shot with some therapy to see if it'll work. Now, sometimes I'll have the privilege of getting an advance copy, which I didn't have a chance in this case. But one question I had about the book, because I got some idea of the background, I wondered if the book is primarily about spousal relationships or is it just any kind of relationship?
I think as you go through the journey, you can apply it to any relationship. Because I've had people call me up and said, you know what? With some of the journey you went through, I never spoke about it anymore. I was so emotionally engaged. I couldn't put the book down. I had to keep going because we're going through life and we're not paying attention. We're not dealing with stuff that we dealt with in the past. We just shut the door. My book is going to bring out all kind of emotions, all kind of situations. I mention no names or no locations for a reason because what? I don't not only want you to see the journey, but I want you to put yourself in that journey. Some people have gone through some of the stuff I've been through. I'm going to get into PTSD. My
And that
spouse is that.
and that writing was part of the therapy too, I'm sure, because look how many counselors and therapists recommend journaling. And then, of course, journaling, if you feel comfortable, can easily be converted into a book.
Absolutely. In fact, my therapist, I said, my friends keep, joking. Well, I thought they were joking with me when they would say, Lady J, your life is like a soap opera. You should write a book. See, and I would laugh. And I told my therapist, I'm just laughing. All of a sudden, she looked at me and said, Why don't you write a book? I said, Excuse me? She says, Why don't you write a book? If you don't do nothing but write it all out, even if you don't publish it. And I would tell a writer that in a minute. Just write it out. If you feel inspired, write it out. And I just prayed about it. Lord said, start from the beginning. That's what I did. We came up with the title. I designed the front of the book, and the publishers just tweaked it up some and changed it where it could pop. And so I kind of like doing my own stuff, but I was just so excited. Yeah, it's a controversy because everybody's life is different and
And
no
you
one
have a
wants to
sorry.
talk about their life.
And you have a copy with you, Lady J. Can you show the cover on camera? I thought that was really interesting too, which that made me want to read it because I thought, oh, you got a little bit of information like, this is definitely something that's going to be pretty interesting. So when did you first get that? How long ago? What I'd like to know is when did you first say, okay, I'm going to write the book from that point until it was finished? How long did that take?
I
Initial
started
concept to
in
finish.
January of last year. So I pondered it in November, December when the therapist told me about it. And I kept thinking about it, thinking about it. But I had such a heavy schedule. I'm also a caregiver to my 91-year-old mother. And so that's a lot, being an entrepreneur, taking care of the home and everything else. And so I started in January, and I would do it in the morning time when it was quiet, at late at night when it was quiet. You got to have quietness. I will put on some nice nature music, something that would get your juices to flow. And then I just sat there. You know how they do like that? And you sit there at the computer and you go, okay, I'm ready to write. Oh, start from the beginning. So that's what I did. Before I knew it, I could not stop writing. That's how I think when you're really a writer is when the juices just start flowing. And sometimes you have to take yourself away from it. If you get writer's block, it does happen. Go ahead, take a little break, little vacation, I don't know, do something for the day, and then come back to it.
From basically December, January, and according to according to Amazon, the book was published November 5th. So in under a year, you published, which is very
I
fast.
did. I did. Well, because I had a goddaughter that was here to kind of help me out with mother. So that gave me an opportunity to spend a little bit more time with the book. So you're talking about January 2024, and I was finished by October, say by September, the end of September. Gave it to a book publisher, gave them some time to go over it, and then by November of 2024, it was published.
Did you get any assistance prior to turning it over? In other words, had you had any, like an editor or copywriter take a look at it before you gave it to the publishing
I
company?
had my goddaughter who is also a writer, but she only has so much time. But what I would tell anybody now, honey, go to Fiverr or Upwork. You give them the manuscript. There are professionals that would do your editing and your proofreading. That'd be part of your self-publishing.
That makes a lot of
That's a
sense.
whole lot. I mean, that's a whole list. That's everything. So between book publishing, that can be very expensive, versus self-publishing. But what happens when you're totally new and you know nothing? I didn't know anything. So you think the book publishing is the best way to go. Well, I'm thinking that there's some things that should go a certain way because I'm into marketing. Certain things should have been done this way or that way, but they were different in their thinking, which means you don't have as much control as you would as a self-publisher.
So when you went to you had a relationship with a company. Let me see if I can find. Is it called Tolkien's Book Writing? Is the name of the publisher?
Yes.
And so you basically went to them with a finished product. Would that be correct to say?
Yeah, a final manuscript. Yeah,
Do they own the rights to the book, or do you own the rights to the book?
I own the rights.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. So
Yeah.
it's still yours. Now, obviously, there was an exchange that occurred between you and them from a business perspective. It was it pay to play? Because there's systems where it's pay to play. In other words, did you pay them to promote you, or did they just take a percentage of the sales, or in other words, what was the benefits you were receiving from them, and what were the benefits they were receiving?
Well, my thing is too, when you're an entrepreneur, we think we have to do everything ourselves, and it takes up so much time
It's true.
that it's almost you're like an employee of your own establishment, and it's too much. So you have to sub it out. I went with them because I said, okay, once we get it out there, okay, then I'm just going to allow you to take care of everything else. But there is a cost to that. And you have to know within your budget. Everyone must have a budget. I mean, I've just got to emphasize that. You can't go in and just think you're going to get everything done for $500 or $1,000. It's not going to happen like that. But they did do some marketing and everything for me for about 3 months. Could I have done something a little different? Probably, but they've done some creative posts for me. They're, really pop my design, and of course, it's important that you have your own vision. When they tried to change the front of this, I was like, no, 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 you're missing my message. They must have no face, no nationality. They could be female, they could be male. This is the unexpected stranger. If I have one, you have one. Everyone has one. So I popped it with the little red. They popped it with the little red. And then it just popped out. And so something simple that goes, there's a little mystery to it. So that's the way that we took it because an unexpected stranger is a mystery. If it was expected, then you would have no problem. But it's the unexpected journey that we're all going to take. How do we take it, especially if you've never been there before? How you going to handle that? And my book will kind of give you some suggestions as you go through my journey. You will go, that's a good idea. Maybe because that's what people were calling me and saying, you really gave me something to think about. I wish when I was married to a veteran that I had the information that you gave me in this book, or else that's something that I would have done. But you know what? We're not really talking. We're not sharing our stories to give people the help and the support that they need.
That makes a lot of sense. I just read an article the other day. A famous actor, Gene Hackman, recently passed away, and that's gotten a lot of media attention. And one person worked with him on a movie project, I think for 18 months. And the quote said, I worked with the man for 18 months, but I didn't know him. So they had all that time together, but it was all work. It was never on a personal level. And it wasn't an insult. It's just he didn't know the guy. And
Mhm.
when I was reading about your book, I thought about all the times I've heard relationships fall apart. And one of the two people inevitably always says, I didn't even know that. I thought I knew him. I didn't even know him. And it sounds like there's a little bit of that in the book too, where you could spend a great deal of time with someone and not truly know them. Did you have a particular audience in mind for that, or are you seeing the book resonate with a particular group of people?
Well, I think it's good for young people. I think it's good for people who are struggling because if it's an unexpected stranger and you're thinking about that, unmasking love's deception. We've all been decepted in some type of way. We just don't know what it is. So the book will intrigue you enough to say, hey, let me find out what her story is, what's really going on with this right here. You
And you're
know,
being,
that's
oh,
where
sorry.
it goes.
And you're being encouraged too, which I'm with them on that.
Yeah,
To do the audio version, you got a great voice. I think because nobody would know how to read it better than you.
do that.
Are you interested in doing that?
I am.
That's
I am.
very. I've had Robert Lane on, who is an audiobook coach. And unfortunately, I met him right after I narrated my book. It was right about the same time. So I was already committed. I had already bought all the equipment. But what
No,
he does, and you and anybody watching this can check it out. It's one of the episodes. He worked for a big movie studio out in at Los Angeles, California, and then now he's moved to Arizona, and he will actually send you the equipment that you need,
wow.
coach you through the process of narrating your own book. He walks you through the technical. It's the next best thing to him standing there, teaches you how to develop that really professional sound and then you send the equipment back. He's involved in the editing process. I thought, man, I wish I had met him about 3 months before I did. I mean, I thought I did okay on the audiobook, but it's always better to have a coach, and he seems like he's a great guy to work with. So that's all.
Excellent. That's good to know. We all need to know that because a lot of people now, I mean, I've heard people ask me, Lady J, do you have audio? Do you have, I really don't have time to read, but ooh, I can go through a book like crazy, you know.
Yes.
And so yes, I've been thinking about it.
If you had to get the book down to one maybe silver bullet piece of advice you could give somebody, and that's also might get people more interested in getting a hold of the book, what's the one thing that when you wrote that passage in the book you said to yourself, this is it, this is something that they can really put to work in their life?
I have 3 points and I write them down because I don't want to mess them up. You are never too lost, too broken, or too late to rewrite your story. We get into things with people, then we get mental illness ourselves. We don't know it's mental illness because there are several out there. I took a course on spirituality and emotional wellness to get certified in because the book now has taken me to a whole different level to support others in what they're going through. The second one, every challenge I faced was not the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new chapter filled with strength, faith, and resilience. That comes from my book. The last one is just basically if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins and to cleanse us for all unrighteousness. I say that from 1 John 1:9, because when we get ourselves in situations, we are broken, we are lost, we feel we're not worthy, we are nothing. But we are, because when we confess our sins, we become a new person. That means you can start over. You can rewrite your story. And so even though the book gets into the journey, oh boy, once you start getting into it, it just motivates you. It inspires you. It gives you hope. I read it and I went straight to my husband and gave him a big hug because I felt it. And my thing was, Lord, I pray that as I am inspired and motivated, that others would get it as well.
Lady J, how important do you think it is to forgive others and to forgive ourselves?
You cannot exist without doing that. I mean, how can you move forward if I still have a grudge on someone for 30 years? Every time I see that person. And the bad part is that person has gone on with their life. They don't even know what you've been mad about for the past 30 years. And it's a thing too. We say the Lord's Prayer. God says, I forgive you, but you have to forgive others. I can't forgive you, and you're not going to forget your brother or your sister. It's a way of moving on. How can I rewrite my story? And I haven't forgiven myself. It's a breath of fresh air. It's a new beginning. You feel it. I've been forgiven. Now let me move on. Because as I was going through stuff through my life, I had to have a therapy to get through. I had so much going on. My mom and dad, my husband and I have moved them down here. I've been going back and forth to take care of them for 7 years. We finally get them down here. My father suddenly gets sick and he is passed in 5 months. That was the end for me. I had to check myself into an emergency where I collapsed right there on the floor. My husband just went to go park the car and saw me on the ground. That was it. We never know that things build up. So if you're not forgiving, that's gonna pile up. You had unexpected strangers, unexpected strangers, somebody molested you and they said, hey, you better not tell nobody. If you do tell somebody gonna die. I mean, you talk about all these they can stack. And then you wonder why you get the people in your life that you have. You wonder why you making these kind of decisions because you're basing them on an unhealthy personality, I would say. You don't know who you really are because you're not getting to even know your own self, let alone get a chance to know somebody else.
Whether you have a business or want to start one, you need ideas. Pick up our book, Scintilla, the ultimate guide to generating business ideas, products, and services. Available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and now as an audiobook. After buying the book, go to www.freetimemastermind.com, click Other, and type Book Bonus Material to get access to the book's vault of extra information, as well as access to a private Facebook group for book owners. Find the link to the book in the description.
I have this habit of when someone steady keeps in my mind, it's for a reason. I've done that a couple of times, and then they passed away. And I was like, man, they was on my mind. I should have called them. So if it's not a couple of days or so, I'm like, okay, let me at least text them, let them know, hey, I'm thinking about you. I'm praying about you. You got a minute to talk? Call me.
That's right. I'm still a fan of picking up the phone. Social media is nice, sending a text, but the phone is you can really tell. It's hard for somebody to fake it over the phone. A text, you really can't tell.
Well,
But
that's why I say that little message though, right? Because everybody's so busy. You see a text faster than a
for
phone
sure.
call.
For sure.
If I'm going to voicemail, I'm like, oh, okay, so I see you don't have time to talk.
That's true. Well, out of all of these different ways to connect with people, whether it be Instagram or Threads or my goodness, there's so many. There's even more options than there were just a couple of years ago. Where are you seeing the love for what you're doing and people supporting your book?
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok takes a lot more. TikTok now is kind of different. I might not get too much on there like I do Facebook and Instagram. And I would tell people too, uh, to spread yourself thin has never worked. Wearing a whole lot of hats, it doesn't work because what you got yourself spread out so thin. I'm like you, focus in a couple of areas and go with that. And then you know your audience better. Some just want to support me and then their purchases. Some are intrigued and want to see what the book does. I started doing more videos of explaining what you could possibly get from the book. So you have to be creative in that area, and then that helps draw the audience that you want. email marketing is very important. If you don't have email marketing to help lock that in, then you'll have people that just come to your website that you just, come and leave. So then it brings up, do I just want to be a new author that says, hey, I published a book, or do I want to do it as a business? If I want to do it as a business, that means I have to come out with some more books. I've got to come out with some merchandise. I'm about to do my book signing at my university alumni at the end of next month. So I'm getting all my marketing materials, my books already signed, and giving giveaways or what have you, because you have to be able to put yourself more out there, which is another budget, at least once you get it one time, you have it, but there's things that you have to invest in if you're trying to make it a business.
Well, I will say, because you were practically reading my mind when you started talking about your website, because I had on my list to ask you, you've got a great giveaway on your website. We'll get to the link at the end. We'll make it easier for the viewers and we'll stack it up and we'll put it all in the description. But I think that's fantastic. So just in exchange for their name and their email, you give away a free chapter. Was that something that the publisher suggested?
No, after our relationship was over, then I have team members that's on my team with my HOS marketing consulting. And we thought about it. And I talked to someone on Fiverr and I said, look, I told her what I wanted her to do. She says, before you do anything, you need a capture page or a
That's right.
landing page, what they call it.
That's
You
right.
need to get these, and I will go ahead and create the emails for you. I said, say what? And so that's what we did, because it's sort of like a sales funnel. If you're trying to make money while you sleep, there are some certain things that you're going to have to do. You are going to have to spend money on ads. There are some people that are saying there are different ways out there. And I don't mind getting their ebooks because I want to know what's out there. There's
Sure.
AI out there. There's all kind of things out there that can even help you write your book even faster. But the thing is, you want as much of you in there as possible. So if you're going to use AI, I just went through my whole book by itself. So whatever's coming out of your mind, let your juices run and just let it flow till you can't do it anymore. For me, ChatGPT is good for if I'm trying to get a word or a feeling, or I give them a paragraph and I say rewrite it in layman's terms. When I do that, I go, no, that's not exactly what I was feeling at that time. I was feeling like this. Then it'll turn around and make it, and I'll go, yes, that's exactly how I felt. So, it's exciting how you use it. I don't like it when you say, okay, just go ahead and make me a book. No, we want to hear from you, your real experience, because we all have them. We're having a lot more writers because they want to tell you their journey. There's people who are going through stuff that we need to know about and also give them the help, the support that they need.
So this writing of the book was not just good from a mental health perspective, where you're getting all of this off your heart. You then discovered, hey, I want to get involved with this and help other people get their book out. So tell us about what you've been thinking about, the services that you want to offer to other people that want to get a book out there.
Well, it's going to be self-publishing services. So I'm going to probably have about 2 or 3 different packages. That's in the work right now because it's been promoting the book. It's putting merchandise on my website. That's how you want to do it. You want to sell t-shirts, mugs, bookmarks. I mean, you want to do all kind of different things because you want them to come to your website and don't leave right away. They don't
That's
want the
very true.
typical thing, right? It's just like as we're talking on this here, our attention spans are like 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. Even when you go listen to a sermon at church, you know in the first 5, 10 minutes he gonna be good or not, or she gonna be good enough. And we lose our attention span. So it's very important that once they come to your website, like the capture page, bam, it's got to be a wow factor. If it's boring, the book must be boring. And so we want to make sure that everything pops, the design of the book. I suggest it's good to get a designer, but it's also good to have your own ideas.
Absolutely. Yeah, to
If
come.
you know the name of your book, I knew it was going to be The Unexpected Stranger because I had experienced that in my life. Unexpected relationship, unexpected circumstances, unexpected events, you know, and so that would be a catchy type of title for a book. So spend some time doing this. Sometimes we think we have to do it like yesterday. Oh, I wrote a book in 30 days. Really? Oh, I would, For those who are real wide writers, it's going to take a little time because you're really supposed to kind of write it and then come back. I figure for my first one is good, but my second one, I believe is going to be even better because I'm going to take a little bit more time in some things because it's about motivating, inspiring, having people take a look at themselves and of which we don't do. How can you be a better you and you don't even know who you is or are? You know what I'm saying? And so we have to get to know that. A lot of us have a hard time looking at ourselves in the mirror. A lot of us, we want this fine body, but we don't want to do the work to get the body. It's about the work. We don't want to work these days.
That's very true. So you already have some ideas for this. Is it a follow-up book or are you going something in a completely different direction?
Sort of a little different. I might pick some things out of the first book because I want people to think. If you're trying to be a better you, then there's some things that you need to look at. Why did I make the decisions that I did? What is it I didn't know back then that I should know now? If I'm still thinking the same I did 5 years ago, then you haven't grown, which means you can't have what's better for you. If I'm always a negative person, that's what you're going to get. That's what the universe is going to give you. But if I want to be positive about life, bring the good people in my life, bring the people that's going to help me with this book, help me write this book, help me to design this book. Now you're going someplace. And so it's all about where we should be in life to help us along the way. So it's not only like going to be a journey, it's going to be anyone's journey who really wants to take a deeper look into themselves. See, I did my first guest appearance on a podcast in January. And from that, I got a phone call. Oh my goodness. You had me in tears. I had no idea. Maybe think about my life and look, I'm about to put you into the certification class. You're going to need this. On top of that, you will be great as a life coach. I'm going to go ahead and give you a connection with that so that you can be a life coach because I can see you helping people. You've walked, you've seen it. You're going through it. You can detect it because I'm a self-starter. So you tell me something. When I collapsed there at the hospital, as soon as I tried to find out what was going on, I'm like, ooh, first of all, I'm not going out like this. Now, what can I do? And the doctor told me, hey, go to a neurologist. I just want to make sure you're all good. I was good. I just couldn't sleep at night. I had a hard time. And so he said, go get a psychiatrist and a therapist. This is what I recommend. it changed my life. That's if we were looking to change our lives. We think we can do it by ourselves. We cannot go through this crazy life by ourselves, And so now it's having that support system. Who can you talk to in a non-judgmental environment? And if we're more to ourselves, then we get the support. There are so many hotlines out there now. The VA has one, the veterans have one. I was a caregiver. I didn't know where to go. I just go ahead and pick up the line. And then they would give me resources. So the thing is, let's stop complaining and let's do something about it. That's the main thing. You want to be a writer, find out how to be a writer. And everyone claims to do, so you definitely have to pray about it, and then just go for it. The networking, oh my goodness, it's crazy. And I look to network with other people when I go for my, university alumni. It's all about meeting people, sharing your story, listening to their story in order to be encouraged with. I mean, it's about people. It's about sharing, and we don't do enough of it.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I can't wait. Let's stay connected and let me know how that goes. With the publishing, I wanted to circle back to that for a second. I think you're very wise to have put it on Amazon because most authors 10, 15, and further years ago, they would have to buy a pallet of books to get them cheap enough, So then and there's tons of stories out there where these authors had their garage full of books because to get them for $3 a piece, they'd have to buy a truckload of them. You don't have to do that. I mean, Amazon does take a hefty fee, but they're the storehouse. It's print on demand. They can whip one up really quick. And something that is probably not mentioned enough on this channel, if you want, and I'm sure you've taken advantage of this, you can buy what they call author copies, where you're basically getting a bunch of them at Amazon's cost. So when people say, "Well, Robert, why didn't you go?" I'm like, Amazon has everything already. They got the credit card machine. I don't want to mess with that. I just wanted a writer
Have a
thinking
credit
there.
card machine?
Well, I'm saying people that sell the books off of their own
Yes.
websites, that's a little bit more complicated. And
Right,
that's
it
okay
is.
if they want to do it, but I'd rather their Amazon print the books and they deal with everything. Now, I don't know if you've been told this, but the research that I've done, I have not run ads for my book, but in all of the research and all of the people that I've talked to, there's a million different ways to
Yeah.
promote the book, but according to the data that I've seen, Amazon ads has the best return on investment for ad spend for authors. And I've seen those numbers consistently beat every other way. Now, you can do organic marketing, you can do guerrilla marketing, which is what you're doing right now, coming on a podcast. That's a great way to get your book out there, to get in front of another audience. But as far as if you're going to get the wallet out and spend money on ads, what I'm seeing is that Amazon ads is the way to go. Has that been the same information you've been given, or people have recommended you do other
Yes,
things?
but there's, like I said, there's different marketing tactics that's out there. There's said Facebook ads is the best, IG ads is the best, Amazon is number one. Oh, put it on eBay. So to me, it's almost testing it out. You basically testing your audience. The genre is, you have to know what your genre is so that you kind of have an idea of who you want to get it out to. But then too, you know, you don't know what your audience is going to be. So you really kind of putting it out there. You want book lovers. You want book lovers. They got book talk, all these different terms. So you can use different hashtags because you're trying to get a certain amount of people. And plus too, you look and see what other people are doing. That's what I've been doing. So, some people just sit there with their book open and read like a little passage and explain that passage and then say, hey, if you're interested in my book, you know, you can get it on Amazon, you know. And so
And
people are doing, you have to be creative because that's what content creators are.
And for people that don't know, book talk is TikTok for book lovers. You know, people like
Yes.
exactly like what you said. I have to sometimes break it down because I knew what you were talking about, but I'm not sure if everybody. But yeah, book talk is huge. You know, and people will give snippets of the books. They'll give reviews. Getting reviews are helpful. Coming on podcasts. Um, Writing blogs are good to drive people to your website because that helps with the SEO. Speaking of websites, Lady J, what are all the ways you want people to connect with you? If you don't mind, give us a list of the best URLs or websites to for them to find you.
Well, I have just one, and that
Okay.
is Arthur Lady J, JAY.com.
That's perfect. And
Arthur Lady J, JAY.com. A lot of them just want to do lady and just J, but that's why I have to say it's JAY.com. And once they go there, it gives them a little bit about the book. You can go down towards the bottom. It'll tell you all the different things why you need to buy the book. So it's going to give you a lot of information, and then you get a chance to read a free chapter of my book.
who doesn't like something for free? Come on. Yeah. And the same thing when you do your audiobook, you'll be able to put that audible sample up there. Everybody will be able to hear the book in your voice.
Yes, I'm really excited. You know, oh, and I'm gonna have to say this myth too. Don't think as soon as your book comes out, you're gonna sell hundreds to thousands of them in the first week. It's not gonna happen like that.
Yeah, yeah. Thankfully, I didn't have that expectation. You know, how long have you given yourself to? I know you said you're going to give yourself a lot longer, but do you have a target date on this second book?
Well, I've already done the cover. I've already done the table of content. And I kind of wrote a little bit of something probably in the first three chapters. And so I say with, tax time, different things that you have going on, I said, well, my birthday month is April. I said, well, let me get back to it April, May, June, probably in about 3, 4 months. Now that you kind of got things going, to me, I don't think it'll take as long. And then when you go ahead and get it to a editor or a proofreader, you need both, then that way that takes a little time.
That's
So,
that. Yeah, that's
everything takes a little time, right? And it's really having that, and it's knowing to make sure you have a budget, especially marketing. Make sure that you have a launch date and let people get excited about what's going on. That I did not receive was a launch date during the hype, you know. When you do things by trial and error, then your second book is going to be better because you've learned some things and now you've got that list of things that you can do that's going to make your book get out there even better. And so once you have a website already set up, then all you have to do is put everything on that same website. So I changed it to Book and Products because that's
there
what
you
it's going to be about. So now I can go ahead, put my other book on there, my other ebooks. I have a couple of ebooks I want to put out there, and then I have a third book in my head. So
go.
who would know? When I grew up, I kept trying to figure out what I wanted to be. I couldn't figure it out. Why isn't it? Oh, I want to be a teacher. I want to be that. No, I didn't want to be any of that. So numbers kind of got to me. So when in high school, it was accounting courses. Okay, I'll become an accountant. I became analytical, all that, good with numbers, taking care of people's books, but I didn't have no passion with it. So then I started, doing different businesses since 2008. So I know I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but what is my passion? What is my purpose. The thing is, some people's purpose come early, some people's purpose come late. I'm 66, going to be 67, and mine came the year when I was 65. It's my time, though. Did I
I
have a
love
whole
that.
bunch of stories back then? No. But are they flowing out of me? Yes. It's my passion. It's my purpose. I am excited. You are excited because we're in where we're supposed to be, and we're here to share it with the world. You know, a lot of us are not reading that much anymore. Read audio. I try to put myself on, I have to read a book every month. You know, let's don't overestimate ourselves, right? When we say, oh, I'm going to do 2 a month, and you know, you got a life. You know, if you don't have a life and that's what you want to do, and you love books that way, then a lot of people can do 1 a week.
That's wise advice, Lady J. I hope you have a great showing at the alumni event. Sell a ton of books. Charge a little bit more for the signed ones, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, that's already in the works.
Well,
You
I
get
think
a signed copy and a free bookmark to go with it.
I love it. I love it. You're you've got the deals figured out. Well, thank you so much, Lady J. It was a pleasure having you on the Free Time Mastermind podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. You were just totally fantastic. Thank you so much.
The Free Time Mastermind group now offers special videos available only to Mastermind Insiders. Go to www.freetimemastermind.com, click Other, and type YouTube Insider to get free access. Also, click like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video. Thank you for watching the Free Time Mastermind podcast.